What up guys, Gozen here for AnimeUproar, and today we are finally getting to the How Strong is Escanor video. We are going to be looking at all of the evidence we got to determine how strong Escanor is at his best. Since Escanor just got his power back, it seems like the perfect time to make this video. If you're as hyped as I am that Escanor is back, you might want to consider getting one of our Escanor t-shirts like Escanor Praise the Sun and Escanor All Hail the One. You can find them both at AnimeUproar.com along with other anime and 7 Deadly Sins shirts. These shirts are my favorite personally, along with Bon Love the Pain. If you want more 7 Deadly Sins content on this channel, make sure to smash that like button to let me know. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe for more 7 Deadly Sins videos and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new ones. There will be a lot of manga spoilers, you've been warned. Now without further ado, let's jump into it. Even before Escanor was introduced, Nakaba Suzuki, the creator of the 7 Deadly Sins, suggested in an interview that some members of the 7 Deadly Sins, like Merlin and Escanor, had yet to be introduced because they were too strong. It seems like Nakaba likes waiting to introduce stronger OP characters later. That interview alone hypes up Escanor, who was the last one he waited to introduce, and he was definitely worth the wait. Then we first see Escanor in the side story manga Vampires of Edinburgh. Meliodas mentions that, as always, Escanor's sacred treasure is way too heavy. Having Meliodas, the captain of the 7 Deadly Sins, say this makes Escanor seem all the more powerful. However, since he comes to pick up Escanor around midnight, he's currently at his weakest state. In this state, he has the lowest recorded power level, only 15. We are even told in the manga that Escanor looks crazy weak when he's introduced. Nakaba loves subverting our expectations, and this is just one of the many ways he does it. Luckily, we don't have to wait too long to find out that all of the hints about Escanor's great power weren't all talk. Escanor is the one who goes up against the strongest vampire of them all, the Vampire King Isra. Although nighttime Escanor is clearly losing at first, things quickly change as Escanor begins his daytime transformation. He goes from cowering in fear to asking the Vampire King to apologize to him for ever being born into his world. We also see him carrying the one-handed axe that Meliodas was having trouble carrying, except Escanor is carrying it with one hand. Escanor backs up his prideful talk with his strength. The Vampire King goes full strength to try and beat Escanor. Merlin notes he has a power level of 4,890. Keep in mind, that's higher than every other Sin's power level at this point. Yet Escanor is unfazed by the king's full power. Escanor goes on to say some epically prideful things, like that the darkness feared him, and that while kings such as Israf are as numerous as grains of sand, Escanor is no such thing. He is an existence unlike any other in the world, the lion sin of pride, Escanor. Escanor is so strong, he even looks down upon kings of powerful races like vampires. The Vampire King wraps himself in black full plate, an armor of darkness that is impregnable to the fires of purgatory. However, this armor burns away in Escanor's presence, and so does the Vampire King's flesh. The strongest vampire was defeated by Escanor's proximity alone. He didn't even need to raise his hand. Merlin tells us that Escanor's power is completely different from those found in any of the other non-human clans. She explains that as the sun rises, his power increases hour by hour until noon, and at his peak power level, he easily surpasses that of any of the other Sins. If that isn't an OP introduction, I don't know what is. Not only does he stand at the top of the human clan, Merlin suggests that he stands atop all clans in terms of power. His official manga introduction is no less impressive. Remember that for the most part, Galand was more than a match for any other Sin up to this point. Gothar had to trick him into thinking he killed Meliodas so he would leave because they couldn't beat him physically, and Bon had to run for his life when he faced him. Melascula's face is more frightened than we've ever seen it up to that point when Escanor takes his first swing at Galand. Not only does Galand go full out, he even uses his critical over mode, which drastically increases his power level to 40,000. We haven't even seen Meliodas fight this version of him. Nevertheless, with his most powerful swing, he can barely draw some blood from Escanor. Then when it's Escanor's turn again to take a swing, Galand realizes he's so overpowered that he runs away in fear, ignoring his own commandment and thus turning into stone. Melascula then tries to eat Escanor's soul, but the soul burns her from the inside, almost killing her before it returns to Escanor's body. In a few pages, Escanor's power completely embarrassed these previously feared characters. In chapter 169, the implanted thought of Merlin alone helps Escanor transform into his daytime version without the sun. Escanor calls his divine axe Rita to him, which absorbs the tremendous heat he gives off and stores it until he wishes to use it. He then uses this ability to significantly damage Droll and Gloxinia, two other commandments and former kings. In this way, Escanor shows that he can be a force to be reckoned with even during the nighttime. And now we've arrived to one of the most epic fights in the series, Escanor vs Estarossa. Estarossa has previously completely overpowered and killed Meliodas, albeit temporarily. He was depicted as one of the strongest commandments up to this point, if not the strongest. He also had a handy ability that lets him counter all physical moves. He tries to engulf Escanor's cruel sun attack in darkness, but it doesn't work. Escanor sends his attack at Estarossa, completely taking him out of commission for the foreseeable future. The combined power of Estarossa and Zeldris, the two strongest commandments, wasn't enough to stop Escanor or his cruel sun attack. But the craziest thing is, this isn't even Escanor's full power. It is only when he faces an assault mode Meliodas that we get a taste of Escanor's most powerful form. Melascula says that Meliodas in this mode is as powerful as he was in his heyday when he was the leader of the 10 Commandments. Meliodas is beating Escanor right up until noon. Then, according to Merlin, during that time, for just 1 minute, Escanor becomes the invincible incarnation of power, and its name is the One. Meliodas gives him 1,000 divine slices, and it doesn't even seem to phase the One. In contrast to the 1,000 slashes that Meliodas gave Escanor with his weapon, with one swipe of his hand, Escanor takes out Meliodas. Then Escanor asks him, as a god of demons, how does it feel to be looked down upon by a human? Then we are told that at the pinnacle of all stands this man, Escanor. Now we'll get back to this moment later, but remember that we are told by Merlin that the One is invincible, and we are told by the manga that Escanor in this form stands at the pinnacle of all. Next time we see the One mode is during chapter 288. Zeldris uses Ominous Nebula, a move so fast and powerful that no one, not even Ludoshell with the fastest Grace Flash and a power level of 205,000 could stop. Again, at this point we are told that the One is the incarnation of invincibility and unparalleled power. Ominous Nebula is too strong for Escanor to use Rita, so he has to cast it aside. With his bare hand, the One stops Ominous Nebula. Zeldris manages to stop the attack with his sword, but then Escanor takes him out with a finger, while Chandler blocks out the sun, causing Escanor to turn back into his nighttime form. That was the last time we saw Escanor in the One mode, but in chapter 317, Mael says there's still time before noon, implying that we will get to see the form for a third time. But how strong is Escanor in the One mode? There's some seemingly conflicting information out there, so let's go over it. When we are told that the One is invincible and the mightiest, are we supposed to take that seriously, or is it just to hype up the reader during that chapter? It is true that the One has never lost a battle yet. However, people in the comments have pointed out that Grace is just a fraction of the Supreme Deity's power, so Escanor shouldn't be able to get anywhere close to the Demon King's power, who is supposed to be on par with the Supreme Deity. That seems logical, and Escanor says himself in chapter 317 that getting his power back doesn't mean he'll suddenly be able to rival the Demon Lord. It was also suggested in the past that Mael with Sunshine is stronger than Escanor with Sunshine. It would make sense because an Archangel and the Grace was specifically given to him, so he should be a better vessel than a weak human body. There was also the moment when Mael got close to Zeldris when he used Ominous Nebula, and Zeldris' sword simply melted from Mael just being close. That same sword held back the One's karate chop and didn't melt, while a post-noon Mael just had to get close. So it seems straightforward enough that the One should not be able to be on the Demon King's level, especially since Mael with Sunshine was no match for the Demon King when he took over Meliodas' body. Ludoshell even tells Mael that he can't possibly win against an opponent like him. For these reasons, I assume that Mael with Sunshine could be about as powerful as King with full-grown wings. Hypothetically, let's say they were able to attain a power level of 400,000 plus, Escanor's the One would be around 300,000 plus. That was my thought process for a while, but for fun, let's take a look at the possibility that Mile isn't necessarily stronger than Escanor's The One. After all, why would Escanor want Mile to give him the power of Sunshine back if Mile could just use it better to help his friends? That doesn't seem to make much sense. You want to ensure the safety of your friends above all else by bringing the strongest man to the fight. So to me, this suggests that Mile's power with Sunshine may not be out of the One's league. Keep in mind, Sunshine waited 3,000 years before finding someone who was worthy to inherit its power, and the person Sunshine chose after all those years was Escanor. That can't be a coincidence. Let's also take a look at the transformation Escanor's body undergoes with Sunshine. Mile doesn't seem to undergo any dramatic body transformations, whether it's day or night. I was hoping to see Mile in the One mode, but perhaps he cannot attain that form. Only Escanor can. Perhaps Escanor had to give the power to Mile before, because noon had passed and he had no hope of turning into the One again for the rest of the day. But in the One form, he could achieve even greater power. We know that everyone has special abilities in the 7 Deadly Sins. Bon has Snatch, King has Disaster, and so on. But Escanor never had an original power. Perhaps his original power has to do with making him an especially powerful vessel for Sunshine, because as we saw, his body with Sunshine doesn't follow the same rules as Mile's body with Sunshine. And that is why Sunshine picked him after 3,000 years. He was the only one who could unlock its full power. Thus, it's not just that Escanor has a fragment of the goddess's power, he can combine it with his own original power to reach a whole new level of strength that is not limited to the power of that one fragment itself. Although Escanor's body is hurt more from using the power than Mile's, that does not mean that Escanor cannot reach an equal or even greater level of power. You might be asking, what about the fact that Mile melted Zeldris' sword while the One didn't? Perhaps Escanor weakened it before, or perhaps the heat can just radiate better through Mile, a goddess, who never stored any of it within the Divine Axe Rita. It is worth mentioning that Escanor's The One had no problem fighting Zeldris, while Zeldris did have a prolonged fight with Mile and even managed to get some good hits on him that worried Mile. The One, on the other hand, never looked worried. He never does. So that is another theory for Escanor's The One power. We were told on multiple occasions that it makes him invincible and the strongest, and honestly, that statement hasn't been proven wrong yet. He easily defeated every opponent he fought, and that includes Meliodas and Zeldris, who were both arguably at a divine level of power. So yeah, for OP Escanor fans, there is hope that Escanor's The One could be right up there among the strongest. I would love to believe that, but let me know what you think in the comments. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button to let me know. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell for more 7 Deadly Sins videos like this one. Remember to grab your Escanor Praise the Sun and Escanor All Hail the One shirts at AnimeUproar.com, link in the description. I especially want to thank our Pro Hero tier patrons, the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, and King Zeldris. And are the 1 tier patrons. After this video, I don't have to tell you that they stand atop all clans: A17 FFDP, Steven Ingrata, Matty Mac 239, and Makoto Kun. And the super special patron whose greatness transcends this plane altogether, Reagan Harrison, the one who has been acknowledged by Lord Twigo Senpai Sama himself. If you enjoy our work, you can support more of it by going over to patreon.com/AnimeUproar and becoming a patron today for as little as $1. If you do so, you'll get your name featured in future videos alongside these awe-inspiring people right here, and you'll even get access to our private patron-only Discord. So check out patreon.com/AnimeUproar, link in the description if you're interested. Anyways, thanks again for all of your support. Praise the sun, Big Daddy Sunshine is back, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.